Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, and Melbourne Beach condos can look very similar online. But the price on the listing is not the number that tells you whether the condo is actually affordable. The real number is the monthly cost after closing. And in the Space Coast, that can include the mortgage, HOA dues, property taxes, condo insurance, flood exposure, building reserves, master insurance, possibly assessments, utilities, rental rules, and the condition of the building itself. So today, I want to walk you through how I compare these three beachside markets in 2026. Melbourne Beach, Cocoa Beach, and Satellite Beach. Not by saying one is automatically better than the other, but by looking at what each one tends to offer, what buyers need to watch, and how to avoid falling in love with a view before you understand the numbers. I'm Carrie Liotta, a local realtor here on Florida's Space Coast, and I help buyers compare Brevard County homes and condos in a way that is practical, local, and honest about the trade-offs. And before we get into this town-by-town comparison, I also have a private Facebook group called Moving to Brevard County, Florida. It's a place for people researching to move to Brevard County to ask questions, compare neighborhoods, learn from locals, and understand Space Coast life before they make a decision. Just scan the QR code on the screen to join us there. Now, let's start with the most important point. When you're buying a beachside condo in Brevard County, you're not just buying the unit. You're buying into a building. That building has an insurance history, a maintenance history, a reserve plan, a board, an HOA budget, rules, common areas, inspection requirements, and sometimes issues that are not obvious when you walk through the unit. That is why two condos can look very similar online and feel completely different once you study the documents. One might have a higher HOA fee but stronger reserve plan, better maintained common areas, clearer insurance coverage, and few surprises. Another might look cheaper because the monthly dues are lower, but if the building has deferred maintenance, weak reserves, pending concrete work, or an unclear assessment history, that lower monthly fee may not be the bargain it appears to be. The mistake is comparing Melbourne Beach, Cocoa Beach, and Satellite Beach by list price. Our question is, what will this specific unit in this specific building in this specific town actually cost me every month? So what should every buyer include in this budget? First, your mortgage, principal, and interest if you're financing. You want to estimate based on the likely assessed value after purchase and your own exemption. Second, the condo association dues. Those dues may cover exterior maintenance, roof, pool, elevator, common areas, water, sewer, trash, pest control, reserves, master insurance, basic cable, or other items. But every association is different, so you have to read what is actually included. Third, property taxes. And this is important. Do not assume the seller's current tax bill will be your future tax bill. Florida property taxes can change after a purchase, especially if the seller had homesteaded protection or owned the property for a long time. You want to estimate based on the likely assessed value after purchase and your own exemption. Fourth, your condo insurance. The association's master plan is not the same as your personal condo policy. Your HO6 policy may cover interior finishes, property finishes, liability, and loss assessment coverage depending on the policy. And finally, reserves and assessment risk. This matters a lot in 2026 because many Florida condo associations are dealing more directly with milestone inspections, structural reserve studies, insurance costs, roof costs, concrete work, balcony maintenance, and long-term building repairs. I'm not saying those things make beach condos bad. They don't. But they do mean buyers need to understand the full cost before they write an offer. Now let's compare the three areas. Let's start with Cocoa Beach. Cocoa Beach usually gives buyers the widest range of condo options. You can find oceanfront towers, canal front buildings, walk-to-town units, older garden-style communities, and buildings that may appeal to vacation owners or investors, depending on the rules. That variety is one of Cocoa Beach's strengths. If a buyer says, I want more choices, I want more beach access, I want more restaurants and surf culture nearby, and I want to compare several different building types, Cocoa Beach often belongs on that list. But that variety also means the cost picture can swing dramatically from one building to another. In Cocoa Beach, I would pay close attention to elevator maintenance, concrete restoration history, roof age, balcony work, insurance renewals, flood coverage, reserves, rental restrictions, and whether the building has been keeping up with long-term maintenance. I would also want to know how the building is used. Is it mostly full-time residents? Is it heavily seasonal? Are there short-term rentals? Are there investor owners? None of those are automatically good or bad, but they can change the feel of the building. The wear and tear, the parking situation, the noise level, and sometimes the insurance or management conversation. Cocoa Beach tends to fit buyers who want more inventory, more walkability, more beach energy, and possibly more rental flexibility depending on the city rules and condo documents. The cost watchouts are older oceanfront buildings, reserve strength, insurance changes, elevator and concrete work, rental rule limits, and the risk of dues being too low for too long. Next, let's talk about Satellite Beach. Satellite Beach usually feels more residential than Cocoa Beach. It gives you barrier island lifestyle, but with a quieter, more neighborhood-oriented rhythm. For buyers, that is the appeal. You have beach access, central Brevard convenience, proximity to Patrick Space Force Base, and day-to-day feel that can be less tourism-driven than Cocoa Beach. That can make Satellite Beach a strong fit for full-time owners, military buyers, families, and buyers who want the beach lifestyle without much vacation rental energy. But from a month-to-month standpoint, you still need to be careful. Satellite Beach buildings still deal with salt air, wind exposure, association insurance, reserves, maintenance schedules, parking rules, pet restrictions, and flood considerations depending on the exact location and the building. The town may feel quieter, but the building math is still the building math. If you're looking in Satellite Beach, I would want to review the budget, reserve schedule, insurance declarations, recent meeting minutes, assessment history, maintenance projects, and any restrictions that affect how you plan to live in the condo. Do you need 2 parking spaces? Do you have pets? Do you plan to rent it seasonally? Will this be full-time, part-time, or future retirement property? Those answers matter because a building can be beautiful and still not fit your life. Satellite Beach tends to fit buyers who want more residential beachside feel, access to Patrick Space Force Base and Central Brevard, and beach living without the same level of visitor traffic as Cocoa Beach. The cost watchouts are master insurance renewals, concrete and balcony maintenance, reserve funding, pet restrictions, parking limits, and how actively the association is managed. Melbourne Beach is different from the other two. It has a quieter, more limited supply, more residential South Barrier Island feel. Buyers are often drawn to Melbourne Beach because they want less commercial activity, a slower pace, ocean access, river influence nearby, nature, and the South Brevard coastal lifestyle. For the right buyer, it can be wonderful, but it's more limited. Buyers sometimes stretch for the right unit and then underestimate the monthly costs or the building risk. And that's where people slow down. Limited supply can make a buyer feel like, if I don't grab this one, I may not see another one like it. And that may be true, but urgency should not replace due diligence. In Melbourne Beach, I would still want the condo documents, budget, reserves, insurance information, flood position, rental rules, recent meeting minutes, special assessment history, and any inspection or maintenance reports that apply. Smaller associations can sometimes feel more personal and less commercial, but they may also have fewer owners sharing large repair costs. That can matter if there's a roof work, exterior work, concrete work, insurance increases, or flood-related expenses. Melbourne Beach tends to fit buyers who want quiet South Brevard beach living, less tourist traffic, a more full-time or long-term seasonal ownership feel, and proximity to ocean access, river access, and slower coastal living. The cost routes are limited comparable sales, older coastal buildings, wind and flood exposure, smaller association assessments, and the possibility that limited inventory leaves less negotiation room when the right unit appears. So how do you compare all three in a simple way? Here is how I would frame it. If you want the most inventory, the most variety, more walkability, and more beach town energy, Cocoa Beach may be the first place to study. If you want more residential feel near Patrick Space Force Base and Central Brevard, Satellite Beach may be a better fit. If you want a quieter South Barrier Island lifestyle with less commercial activity and more limited supply, Melbourne Beach may be the right lane. But the town is only the first filter. The building is the real decision. Once you narrow down the town, you still need to compare the specific association, monthly dues, insurance structure, reserve plan, inspection status, rental rules, flood position, and future resale profile. That is where buyers can get tripped up. A condo beach with strong reserves and clear documents may be a better fit than a lower priced unit somewhere else with unknown assessment risk. A satellite beach condo may feel perfect for full-time living, but if the pet rules, parking, or rental minimums do not match your needs, it may not work. A Melbourne Beach condo may offer quiet lifestyle you want, but if the association is small and facing major building work, the monthly cost may be more complicated than expected. Now let's talk about taxes for a minute because this is one of those common surprises. Before making an offer, look up the property through the Brevard County Property Appraiser and think about what the tax bill may look like after purchase. The seller's current bill may reflect exemptions, old assessed values, or save our homes limitations that do not apply to you in the same way. If this will be your primary residence, homestead may matter. If this is going to be your second home or investment property, the tax math can look different. You do not need to become a tax expert, but you do need to avoid building your budget around someone else's old tax bill. Now let's talk about reserves and Florida condo rules. After Surfside, Florida changed how many condominium buildings have to think about inspections and reserves. Certain condo and cooperative buildings that are 3 habitable stories or more may be subject to milestone structure inspections. Many associations are dealing with structural reserve studies and more realistic funding for major building components. For buyers, the practical takeaway is simple. Ask for the budget, ask for the reserve schedule, ask for the insurance declarations, ask for the meeting minutes. Ask about milestone inspections and structural reserve studies if they apply. Ask about pending litigation, special assessments. Ask what major repairs have already been completed and what may still be coming. If you're financing, also ask your lender whether the building has any issues that could affect condo approval. If anything in the documents feel unclear, bring in the right professionals. A realtor can help you organize the questions and compare buildings. But insurance, legal, tax, lending, and engineering go to the appropriate professionals. I want to say this clearly. Flood exposure matters even if your individual unit is not on the ground floor. The master flood policy, what the association covers, what the individual owner may need, and whether the building has flood-related claims or premium changes. This is not about scaring you away from the beach condos. It's about making sure you are buying with your eyes wide open. The same thing applies if you're thinking about using the condo as a rental. The association, the common areas, the garage, elevators, mechanical systems, parking areas, lender requirements, master policy, and future resale can be affected by where the building sits. Beachside buyers should understand the flood zone. Elevation information. If your plan includes short-term rental income or seasonal rental income, the cost question changes. You have to look at city rules, condo rental minimums, cleaning logistics, management fees, parking, guest rules, taxes, vendor ability, and what to use. Building documents actually allow you the use you have in mind. City rules are one layer, condo documents can be stricter. So if you're thinking, I will just Airbnb it when I'm not there, please do not assume that. Read the documents before you're building your budget around the rental income. So what I would tell a buyer comparing Melbourne Beach, Condo Beach, and Satellite Beach in 2026, I would tell you to start with the lifestyle. If you want energy, options, restaurants, surf, and the broadest condo variety, Cocoa Beach may make sense. If you want a more residential barrier island feel with central Brevard convenience, Satellite Beach may be the better fit. If you want quieter South Beach living with less commercial activity, Melbourne Beach may be worth the tighter inventory. But after that, stop comparing towns and start comparing buildings. Look at the HOA fee, what it covers, the reserves, the insurance, the flood exposure, the maintenance history, the rental rules, the taxes, the inspection status, and the way the building is actually managed. The prettiest view is not always the strongest financial fit. The best condo is the one where the monthly cost, building condition, HOA culture, and lifestyle all line up with the way you actually plan to live. And if you're researching a move to Brevard County or trying to compare beachside communities, remember to join my private Facebook group, Moving to Brevard County, Florida. Scan the QR code on the screen and join us, ask questions, compare neighborhoods, and learn more about what life on the Space Coast is really like. If you're comparing condos in Melbourne Beach, Cocoa Beach, or Satellite Beach, I can help you look beyond the price and understanding the actual monthly cost before you fall in love with the view. I'll see you in the next video.